Kids and cadets, welcome back to Tommy Time. Lot going on here. This is a 2015 TB110. .550 EXI engine. I got this thing last night in a deal, 3 units for $30. The other 2 units were pressure washer engines. These are just going to be parts. I got an older Quantum style and a Sprint. Sprint style, I showed you those before. I had this up on the tailgate. This is a 2006 Crafty, 6 horsepower. I put a new blade on this and new carburetor. Carburetor was unsalvageable. I may be able to salvage it putting this in my ultrasonic cleaner, but it's pretty rough. I had to let the needle valve here sit overnight. It was so gunked up and frozen. So that finally popped loose today. It's just as easy to throw a $10 carburetor on it and be done with it. So this starts and runs. I had painted the engine case. So this will be one that's in my ready pile. So kind of a quagmire here with this 2015. I had shown you the spark plug threads on the head had stripped out. I removed the head and replaced it with another one. This is the head. And if you can see the threads here, it's totally smooth right here. The last 3 to 4 threads are totally smoothed out. The auto light plug that came in it was the wrong plug. And all the piston did was kept banging the plug into obliteration. You can see it's off-centered there. So this was a screw up. This is the Autolite 5924. I looked up on Google. You put in spark plug cross references and it'll tell you every brand that interchanges. What the Briggs engine takes is the RC12YC, the Champion. The Autolite 3924 is a replacement for it, not the 5924. Hence, the plug, I'm sure, just kept getting obliterated and pushing against the aluminum threads here. The plugs are steel, this is aluminum, and it just kept banging until it flattened these threads here. So I'm sure some of you could have salvaged this head, rethreaded it. I don't have the equipment to mess with this. As I've stated before, I'm a shade tree mechanic. The most technical piece of equipment I have are these. Right equipment for the right job. No, I got more tools and parts than that. But I wasn't gonna mess around with rethreading the head. Anyway, so that's that. Wrong plug caused a lot of damage. So we're into percentages. I'm thinking we have a 50-50 shot to get this thing to operate. I look at most challenges in life as a 50-50 proposition. Sometimes you can move them up into your favor, 60-40, and you're on your side. But I find 50-50 is basically what you're going to be faced with. So I do not have another new head gasket. I used a used one from the other block. That was the donor block. It was in much better condition than this, but one of the sides kind of looked like that. What I did is took HVAC foil tape and kind of blended in here to make up the difference. So that's totally backyard hack and slash. So we're going to see if it's going to hold compression. That was the one thing I had to mess with. Secondly, when I had the flywheel off, I'll show you what I ended up doing. So I went to take the coil off. That was the first thing. And what I had done was broke off one of the studs here for the coil. This is from another unit. This isn't the one. So I broke the bolt off clean flush with the little aluminum pop-up here. So I tried drilling this. It was hardened steel. I was having no luck. So I come up with my 50-50 proposition. I thought, how can I get a good bite on this if it's flush? What I ended up doing is taking a grinder and grinding some of this aluminum away. That's why I had the flywheel off, so I could get my grinder in there. What I ended up doing is grinding all the way around on the aluminum till I had enough where these vice grips could grab it. I was able to get a bite on it and pull the rest of the broken bolt out of the aluminum. So the reason I challenged that, I thought, well, once I make my cut here and I take that aluminum away, what am I going to use to make up that difference? And so what I did, I just took a nut about the same distance I needed to fill in, and I used that as a spacer. So I'll get down there and show you how I rectified that. Totally backyard, totally shade tree. I figured there's no extreme pressure on the coil. It's just in a stationary position. The flywheel passes around it. The other side's good and tight. So is that side. It's just got a spacer in it now is the only deal. So I'm still calling this a 50-50 chance for it to run. So I made sure the coil was even all the way around. You see how it's even with the flywheel here? It's even on this side. So it's more or less square with this nut as the filler. And there's probably 8 to 10 threads into the remaining part of the block here holding it. This coil's not going anywhere. So that was total hack and slash. Like I said, I got some HVAC tape here on top of the gasket, head gasket, because I don't have any of these available. I did order some. They're on their way, but I wanted to try to rectify this. Clean the carb. It was just Looked like a little bit of water in the fuel. This wasn't too bad. What killed it was the no compression with the threads being stripped out. The compression was going right through the spark plug hole. So let's turn this over. Since we're down here, we have more than one issue. Of course we do. This is Tommy time. It's never a good situation when you're getting junk. Blade's bent. You can see it pointed down here. It's even here. So I kind of looked at the crankshaft. I didn't see any wobbling. Hopefully the crankshaft isn't bent. And of course I had the flywheel off. The keyway, that was all in order. There was no damage up there. I think it just bent it here on the blade. There was no other catastrophic damage. Oh, look at all this. I forgot to show you that. So I'm up here working, moving the thing around. All this rust shook off when I was doing my banging. So maybe I shouldn't have took this challenge on. I figured, what the hell? It took me most of the day. It was just labor intensive, hardly any parts. I had the old block. I had mentioned earlier I got 3 of these from a scrapper a few years ago with various parts missing. This had the head on it, so I went to town on this. So I thought, oh, I wonder why they shit can this block, and they did, because the coil mount here broke off. That's why they ended up getting rid of this. They probably tried to remove the coil. This thing broke off, and once that happens, you're toast. There's no way to put this back onto the aluminum block. You're dead in the water. You break this thing off and you're dead. Pretty much, without a lot of work. I guess you could, if you got the equipment, you could tack this back on if you can weld aluminum. It'd just be too much work to mess with that. So the cam is probably good on this thing, because I've got a few that I know the cams are bad. I could cut this here in half, take it apart, split the case, and get the cam singular. So now you know the story of the Troy-Bilt here. The grief it caused me. Let's put this back together. It's got oil in it. It's got enough to start. Let's put the recoil on it, fuel it, stop wasting time, see if our 50-50 is going to be a home run. I may up it to 55-45. I have just a little bit more confidence in this thing. If we have no compression, we'll go ahead and tear it all down. I'll wait for the new head gaskets to come in. I bought a 10-pack Not that I do a lot of head gaskets on the overhead valves. I'll just have them ready to go for other projects if need be. Missing a socket here, kids. I was all ready and now I'm not. Okay, here we go. I'm not used to using power tools. I had it on my impact. I kind of do everything by hand. I like the feel if something's stripping on me or not. When you're using this, it gets above and beyond your abilities, and it just goes to town destroying stuff. I'm doing all the talking. How you guys doing? Springtime, you should be messing with your own projects. While you're watching Tommy Time, get out there and fix some junk. Well, I think we're better than 55%. What do you think? That ate up most of my day, but it seemed to have worked out with all this sketchy repairs. Sometimes the shade tree mechanic prevails. So this wheel's locked up. You saw the thing starting to rotate around. The blade's so bad it's vibrating the whole unit in a circle. So that needs to be addressed. New blade. I got to take the wheels off. This one here is dead DOA. I would not be surprised if this has a metal bushing insert and we end up pulling the plastic wheel off and the bushing stays on the axle, just for the fun of it. Let's look at it right now, since you're here doing nothing, wasting precious mower repair time. You guys know Stahl Willie, German maker of fine tools. This is probably the most expensive offset wrench I have. They make tools for technicians that do windmills, big ass wrenches with gaps like this. That's probably the smaller one. They got wider wrenches. The things probably weigh 50 pounds each. Bushing's still on the axle. It popped right off of the plastic here. So I'm going to wire brush this, put my 50-50 concoction automatic transmission fluid acetone. I'll put a little of that on it, let it sit, and try to break it free. You take your vice grip, you put the vice grip on it gently where it's not going to crack it, and then move the vice grip back and forth, try to break the rust on it. So it appears this 2015 Troy-Bilt's a never-ending project. But I'm going to keep going. At least the unit started with the shade tree engineering that I helped it with. Anyway, so after a while we got it. We plowed through $10 unit. It just took quite a while to do all this resurrection. Remove the heads, set the valves with the new head on it. But we came through with it okay. Anyway, appreciate you coming out, checking out this nonsense. Kind of surprised it started with the HVAC foil hack. Like I said, it was just a short section that had peeled back. The rest of the gasket looked in great condition. It was just a small section that had disintegrated. I just filled it in with some HVAC tape, like I said. It appears to have held compression because you saw it start. I knew the coil hack with the bolt as the filler. I knew that would work because there's no strain on that coil whatsoever. It's just got to sit in a stationary position and let the flywheel pass by it. There's no pressure on that whatsoever. It's just got to stay in one position. Please use the 3924 in place of the Champion RC12YC. Do not use the 5924. You'll be banging pistons and causing yourself emotional stress for the remainder of the day. I I think I covered everything. I appreciate you coming out to Tommy Time. I thought I'd give you an update on this TB110 with the 550 EXI. So what I'll probably do now, since I know it's a runner, we discussed the bushing deal. We got the blade to do, and then I'm going to paint the engine block and the valve cover gasket. I'll make it beautiful next. I didn't want to spend any more unnecessary time on it until I knew we were over the hump. Have a good day today. Appreciate you coming out. Like I said, please tip your waitress and wait staff. They're doing an awesome job. I'll have more videos for you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Have a good day, guys.